Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It really gives me great pleasure to stand up and talk to you about traditional horse racing. In my presentation, I will look at the history of traditional horse racing. I will look at the current status of the sport. I will look at the flagship events, and I will also look at the future. The company that I represent, Gold Circle, has been intimately involved with the traditional horse racing community for over 15 years. We have traveled a journey that has been challenging, that has been exciting, and that has been extremely rewarding. Indigenous games have been part of African communities for centuries. They reflect values and customs passed through generations, as well as serving as a pastime activity. Traditional horse racing, which is practiced in many parts of South Africa, is part of this. The sport of traditional horse racing in South Africa was established more than 2 centuries ago. Historically, it was a form of entertainment and was inextricably linked with the cultural heritage and a sense of cultural pride and social cohesion. But what began merely as a social gathering has now today become a sport that is enjoyed across many regions in South Africa and provides various forms of entertainment and synergies with other cultural events. Traditional horse racing can be defined as a socio-cultural activity or sport, which includes traditional horsemanship. It has its own distinctive rules, training methods, riding styles, and horse care methods. The horses that participate in this sport are generally owned by Black families in rural areas of South Africa, which is why traditional horse racing is also interchangeably described as rural horse racing, because it occurs in many rural parts of South Africa. However, I prefer to call it traditional horse racing because it locates it firmly within our cultural tradition as Black people, and it invokes a sense of pride and a sense of cultural expression. There are different styles of horse racing that occur. There are 3 styles. The first is umpalo, which is gallop racing. The second is umkhwalo, which is endurance and speed racing. And then the third is uhambo, which is tripling and trotting. In KwaZulu-Natal, uhambo, tripling or trotting, is known by its Nguni name umdelebelo. And the horses that participate in these events are primarily South African breeds known as Boerperd, Basotho Pony, and Nooit Gedag. Now, in 2005, and I think a couple of us were present in this, who are present in this room, were also present at this meeting. The Premier of the KwaZulu-Natal province, who's the political leader in the province that we live in, called the leadership collective of Gold Circle and requested us to form a bridge between traditional horse racing and formal horse racing. In that presentation, he was very passionate. He invoked the equine-human connection and the importance of this connection amongst members of the traditional horse racing community. And we decided to take up the mantle and travel this journey with the traditional horse racing community. The current status of traditional horse racing is that it has progressed and events are now held on a regular basis. Associations have been formed in various districts of the province, and there are formal structures and formal events that occur on a continuous basis. In KwaZulu-Natal, for example, which is the province that we operate in, we have the KwaZulu-Natal Rural Horse Racing Association. The association comprises 10 local districts and municipalities and has a convener who runs it. The premier event of this association is the Dundee July and the Herigwala Sami Cup and the Umtelebelo Heritage Cup. These events see owners, riders, and spectators from all over the countries and neighboring countries attend these events and participate. It's important to note that no organized betting or gambling occurs on these races. It is simply a love of the sport, a social gathering, and a way of bringing the community together. You see there in the slide some of the various horse racing events that are referred to. Now, as I said earlier on, since 2005, Gold Circle decided to embrace the sport and work together with the traditional horse racing communities. And we saw it as a form of social responsibility. We saw it as a form of inclusivity. And we also saw it as a means of assisting these communities and being part of them because of the social impact that these events result in. The type of support that Gold Circle provides and works with the traditional horse racing community on is specifically providing technical support, providing financial support, and transferring skills through rural outreach programs. We work in association with the Horse Care Unit. And the Horse Care Unit has really done incredible work in these communities. In fact, the most heartwarming fact about the work of the Horse Care Unit is the positive reception that these communities have given to them. You can see there the very handsome CEO of Gold Circle. Now I'd like to move on to the flagship events. The two major traditional racing events in South Africa are currently the Berlin November, which takes place in Buffalo City in the Eastern Cape, and the Dundee July. These flagship sport and lifestyle events offer a myriad of scintillating attractions, such as traditional horse racing and different horse racing distances, forms of fashion, food, dance, music, and art. And what is cross-cutting about all these different activities is the centrality of African culture. Therefore, the fashion will invoke African styles and design. The food will be in the form of African cuisine. Some of that you'll experience tonight. And the music and the festivals and the arts. And I think it's important that these are not just racing events, but they are holistic cultural events that provide various forms of entertainment and bring the community together. The Dundee July specifically, which we have been intimately involved in, has experienced phenomenal growth and has achieved a stage of maturity, attracting 25,000 spectators. Now, just note that that is significantly bigger, for example, than the Jane B. Met in terms of people who participate in the event. The appropriate positioning of this event within the province allows this to also be a tourist attraction. In September 2017, the Willa Fountain Horse Riding Club, in partnership with Ikusasa Foundation and Gold Circle, commemorated National Heritage Month by staging Umtelebelo rural horse racing at Scottsville in Pietermaritzburg. This was the first of its kind, where a rural race meeting took place at a venue used for thoroughbred horse racing. This was the brainchild of Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who is currently the Minister of Health in South Africa. And he says that Umtelebelo has been part of our rural lifestyle as well as the household activity. It brings community together in the form of sport and in the form of relaxation. There's a picture there with Dr. Zweli Mkhize on the left and also the previous premier of our province, Sbundebele. you can see the various forms of African fashion and the inspiration that occurs, and the various dance forms and the various parades that occur. What really is the way forward with respect to traditional horse racing? Government departments, the private sector, and various other stakeholders have really expressed an interest in traditional horse racing. However, there is no current regulatory framework that specifically protects these venues in terms of local municipal planning and zoning. Towards the end of 2018, Gold Circle approached the KZN Premier and participated in discussions with various role players from government to the private sector with the aim of hosting a horse racing summit to further develop the sport. It is hoped that such a summit will bring together government departments ranging from agriculture, economic development, sports and recreation, and the Office of the Premier to come together to look at how we develop this sport across the entire province of KwaZulu-Natal and in other parts of South Africa. And I'm absolutely convinced that when all the parties come together and work as a team to develop traditional horse racing, the sport can only get stronger, move forward and upwards. Thank you.